So, Chad,
Hey.
it's been a pretty boring few weeks, don't you think?
Yeah, nothing's really happened.
Nothing in the world has taken place. No events, no massive changes.
Not that I can think of. Oh, well, Dan, we are forgetting something really important. That is, it's got world in the name, actually.
Yeah. What is it?
The Dodgers won the World Series.
So what happened with the election, Chad?
Something stupid happened.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty tragic. Well, I say it's pretty tragic for the U.S. Mr. Daddy Trump,
Mr. Cheeto Man.
He did win
Mr.
the popular
Monopoly
vote.
Man himself.
He won the popular vote, which means it's the popular choice.
That's bad.
Somehow.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, sexism and racism probably played some amount of a role. I'm not saying everyone who didn't vote for Kamala is a sexist and a racist.
No, I did.
Doesn't help.
Yeah, so I was watching the election happen live.
Uh-huh.
I was on a call with some other people, and I had the Google election map open on the side, just watching the states go by. And once it finished, I think the first thing I texted to the group chat was like, I don't want to bring race and sex into it, but if Kamala was a straight white man, I reckon she would have won.
Dude, it sucks. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I hate it. It's stupid. If it was flipped and Tim Walz was the man running for president and Kamala was running for VP, it's the exact same politics because it's the same people, but it's stupid and I hate it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately there's just a few too many old people that are traditional, they don't want a woman president. They want a man running the country.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
also
think that played a big part. I also think there might have been, because I predicted this when Biden was kicked out of the running for Kamala. I think I mentioned either on podcast or just to you, I think it was going to cause some divide within the Liberal Party. And I think it probably did.
Oh, it did. I could tell you, I saw fucking Bernie Sanders posted something and he was like, I'm disappointed in the Democratic Party. They did this. This is their fault. And it totally is, because they should have seen that Joe Biden was too old and people didn't like him that much as a president.
Yep.
Democrats and Republicans. And they should have been looking for a much better candidate. We haven't had a good candidate since Obama, honestly. I never really cared for Hillary. Biden was he was still an old white guy that had old white guy values.
Yeah.
And Kamala's fine. I don't actually know a whole lot about her politics. She's fine. I've actually really liked Tim Walz. Everything I've heard from him has been really good. But the Democratic Party has not had it. And as much as I hate Trump, the Republican Party had their it guy, and it was Trump. He was a heavy hitter. He was a no name. Fucking batshit insane. But they have their guy.
You gotta I was gonna say, you gotta give Trump props. He knows how to market himself really well. I think, alongside the racism, sexism thing that I mentioned, I think Trump won the election due to going on the Joe Rogan podcast, doing YouTube videos. There's a big golf channel he did a golfing video with a few months ago. He had as much as I don't like these people, he had Jake Paul endorse him, he had Andrew Tate endorse him, Joe Rogan, Dana White. Did you see Dana White was in his acceptance speech for some reason? What? How's that happened?
You could have told me a Martian was in his acceptance speech, and I'd believe you, because that man is batshit crazy. But
all that work ended up helping him a lot, because especially the week leading up to the voting, I saw so much Trump TikToks, YouTube videos everywhere.
Interesting.
And I saw nothing from Kamala.
Yeah, I just the Democratic Party has a person who, on all accounts, politically is horrible. This man went he's a convicted felon.
Yep.
He's been convicted of crimes, has this whole streak of being horrible, all this stuff against him, and they can't beat him. It's crazy to me. It's because they don't get anyone better. Trump and his campaign, they run a good slander campaign. I don't know how much they did it this time.
No, I didn't.
That's how they beat Hillary.
Yeah, the slander compared to Hillary was nowhere near as bad. I think this time it was mostly just I think Trump this time was just I think maybe because obviously when he went against Hillary, he wasn't a politician really. He hadn't been president before. So he was a
businessman the entire time. He's never been in office.
Yeah, so his idea was drag her down. I think because he's been president before, he had a lot more confidence going into this thing. Like, I just think I am the better candidate this time.
Yeah.
So I think
I will also say
less Statlander, more bigging himself up. Which
it's interesting because I was seeing so much like pro Kamala stuff, and I think it only made it to just. I think it just only spread within people who are already pro Kamala. So it's just an echo chamber, and you're not actually. It felt like the information wasn't getting out to like people that weren't already for her. So there's so many things where like no one was going to Trump rallies, everyone was going to Kamala rallies. Maybe that's false. I doubt it. I mean, I saw videos of it, but like, you know, maybe it wasn't like there was so many. I feel like from my end that I saw on social media, there were so many signs that Kamala was doing great.
Yeah, and I'm sure she was with inside her party, but I think it must have just been the thing where like her party was being more like into her, like they were more like, yes, this is my president, but all the other people that she needed to convince didn't see enough of.
Here's the deal: you don't need to convince like me. I'm like almost guaranteed I'm gonna vote Democrat, probably just because I have liberal ideas. And it's the same thing with like a hardcore conservative Republican is gonna vote Republican. It doesn't matter. There are people that don't like Trump and still vote for him because they're like, I'm a Republican, I vote Republican values. It's the people in the middle that you have to convince. And I think Tim Walz was a lot better at it because he had a lot of moderate views on like stuff like gun control and like abortion and like a lot of that kind of stuff where he's like, he had a lot of very moderate views. And he was very good for the swing voters. However, who gives a shit who the VP is?
Yeah.
They do stuff probably, but they don't do it.
I will say, I think that's also a thing that didn't work in Kamala's favor because people didn't like the Biden administration. They didn't think Biden, obviously himself, he's a bit of a ditzy boy. Sidetrack. Have you seen videos of Biden now? He's perfectly fine now.
I think he's less stressed, and the immense amount of stress off him is like mentally healing.
Yeah, I saw a speech of him, and he was spitting, bro. He was like, it was crazy. But I think Kamala being vice president last time, usually you would think it would help you. I actually think it hurt her more because people were like, the Biden administration didn't do very well. She was a major part of that.
It's not true. But everything where they're like, they're like, oh, well, Kamala will go up and say like, oh, we want to do this. And then Trump goes, then why haven't you already? And it's like, it's totally backfired against her. I think, no, what they should have done is just had a candidate for a while who was not in the presidency or vice presidency, who was better.
Yep.
Because like,
would have helped.
That would have. No, the Democratic Party has been fumbling the bag for like year, like a decade.
I think unfortunately for the Democrat Party, they have the mindset of like, we have the better politics, the better ideas, more progressive, more inclusive with people. Like they're the objectively in terms of a progressive worldview, they are like the better party. But they probably have the idea of because we think we're the better party, we don't have to try as hard and market ourselves. Whereas Trump's just like, I'm going to be at a rally every fucking day of my life.
He's gonna play dirty. He's gonna do what he needs to do.
I'm gonna go on Joe Rogan. I'm a like the podcast for Joe Rogan has 50 million views in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's like if the US was like 75% of that viewership, that's like a good like 6 of the country or something.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of people seeing that.
I don't know the last Kamala Harris speech I heard.
Yeah, and honestly, Donald Trump was at so many rallies and everything all the time.
Like, I talk about it, I actually have very little opinion on her. I don't know her politics a whole lot. I just know Trump's politics, and I know they're horrible. Yeah. I don't know anything about Harris.
But it's the idea of the more you see someone, like the more like, not necessarily the more you like them, but the more just like known they are. Yeah. The fact that Trump was always in the media, always on TikTok, always on YouTube, probably just swayed a lot of people just because like, oh, he's present. So, sure. And it ended up working.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah. And I think also because Trump's been president before and the world didn't crumble, people were like, what's the worst that can happen this time?
Yeah. I saw this interesting graph that was like, it was a circle and it was like Republican comes in and starts tanking the economy. Democrat comes in and starts working on the economy and gets it better. Republican comes in afterwards, when the economy's already on the rise. And then everyone thinks and said they fixed it. And then they leave and a Democrat comes in. And then they actually weren't fixing it. They were damaging it. And then it gets worse. Whether or not that's economically true, I'm not a fucking economics major. I don't actually know. But, like, things take a lot of time to change. Yeah, which I will say is the benefit for... There's a lot of people who are like, oh my God, Trump is president. We're all going to shit.
Yeah. No.
It sucks. He'll probably do damage that is bad and will be difficult to reverse.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
At the end of the day, like, I'm not trying to advocate for Trump or anything, but at the end, like, one, he's been president before and the world's still turning.
Yeah, and still moving.
He can only be in office for 4 years, unless they somehow get a massive change in the way presidency works, which I don't think they will.
I really doubt it. The threat is there because I know he's been like, he said everything under the sun, but like, I think he said something where he's like, I'm going to try and make it so that you can have infinite terms. If this man can become Hitler, he will become Hitler.
Yeah. But the thing is,
given the opportunity.
Even if he gets to the point where he changes the term limit, I don't think he will get another term after this, because I think the Democrats will really get their shit sorted next time.
Oh my God, they have to at some point.
And also, if they get infinite terms as a thing, surely Obama just runs again and wins, right?
I don't think he would.
I feel like if it was down to him to stop,
if Trump, it really came down to it, yeah, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, like again, like we don't think that's going to happen. 4 years.
Sure.
What's that's going to happen is like the massive deportation of illegal immigrants, which arguably isn't even that bad of a thing. It depends how severe it is and how bad and how like.
Yeah, it's done. And that's reversible because if someone comes in and immediately changes it, it sucks and it affects people poorly, but like
affects people's lives. But
that's something.
Even Trump said like if you get kicked out, you're allowed to come back as long as it's legal. So it's not like he's kicking them out and banning them from ever entering the country again.
Yeah.
It just
makes it harder for them to.
It makes it harder, and we just don't know how like severe it's going to be. Like, is he going to be ripping out children, like 2-year-olds, and sending them to Guantanamo Bay? Who knows?
I mean, the thing is, I actually think Biden hasn't really been that good about immigration either. Now, one of the things that Trump did in his presidency was he pulled us out of the Paris Accords for environmental sustainability.
Yeah,
that I really hate.
That was
because
bad.
as a worldwide powerhouse of a country, that's bad. Yeah. That really sucks to not be at all environmentally sustainable, because like we need to be actively doing a lot for environmental sustainability like right now.
Yeah, and I know one of his policies is to like just keep upping the oil industry, especially in America, more mining in America, which I'm like, that's not
stupid.
We don't need more oil, bro. Just do some green energy, for the love of fucking God.
It's possible. Like, green energy is doable. Like, dude, it's not
like half the state of fucking Nevada's empty. Just put some wind turbines in or solar panels. You'll be golden.
Right.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, at the end of the day, well, like, you'll get through it. Obviously, there's been a lot of people on social media saying, especially a lot of people from like the gay and trans community, like really worried, like trying to move out of the country.
Yeah.
Or like move to blue states, which is completely reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I think the main, if I was a woman in America, the main thing I'd be concerned about are the abortion laws. Apart from that,
yes,
I think things will be relatively fine. They may suck for 4 years, but they'll be livable, hopefully.
Yeah, so it's interesting seeing the reactions from people around me, since I am living in the States, and getting the reactions from men, which is kind of our reaction, where it's like, man, this sucks, but like, whatever, we'll live.
Yeah, like, it doesn't affect
reactions from
us really that well. I'm in Australia, so it doesn't affect me, obviously. It
doesn't affect you at all. I mean, technically there's probably some amount of effect,
global like effects. But like, if I was a man in the US with the way I live my life, my job, my relationships, it like the change wouldn't affect me pretty much at all. But I know I'm in a privileged position to say that. There's probably
a lot of people, and I mean, that's where we're at.
Are struggling,
yeah. So when talking to men, it's been kind of that reaction. When talking to women, every single woman I know is like, low-key a little scared.
Yeah.
Or more scared. Because, well, so I don't know how much you've seen on Project 2025.
I haven't heard that much about it. I keep hearing people say that it's not Trump's thing, though. It's just like a conservative thing in general.
It's something that I don't know if it'll happen or not, but it's some program that I don't think is being run by him. It's a question of whether or not him and JD Vance have some sort of connection to it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, dude, it's bringing us back like a century. It's like no abortion. It's the worries that a lot of women are having is like you could take away abortions. That's bad. Mm-hmm. It could go further than that, and there's just like no reproductive rights.
Yeah.
The one thing that is positive, at least for myself and the people that are around me, is I live in Colorado, which is a very blue state. And actually, we voted within the state to put in the state constitution that abortion is legal. Same with gay marriage rights.
Yeah. So that's my thing.
Which is cool.
I know the American system in terms of law. There's the obviously countrywide thing, and then there's the state level, and there's obviously like county and city as well. But usually the abortion laws and gay marriage is usually a state thing. So if you're living in a blue state, is it going to really change?
No. So it used to be federal. That was when Roe v. Wade got overturned. It was federal. Abortions were legal everywhere.
Yeah.
It might be harder in some places, but it was legal. When it got overturned, it is now up to the states. It is better than it being illegalized.
Yeah.
And I doubt it will happen. It could happen at a federal level. It could happen where it gets illegalized. And then it doesn't matter what your state says.
Yeah. But like at the moment, if you live in Wyoming and abortion's illegal, you can just drive to Colorado and get it theoretically.
Yeah. So I mean, look,
it's not ideal.
The problem is not necessarily because a lot of people think of abortions as like you get pregnant and you go, man, I don't want this kid, and then you get rid of it. That happens sometimes. Yeah. That is a possibility. There's a billion reasons why abortions happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get pregnant and you go, I am just not fit to be a parent at this current moment in time. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that I disagree with that think, well, you did this, you should have a kid. That's how you get like fucked up kids.
Yep.
Is you can't if you don't want to be a parent and you don't think you'd be a good parent or you don't think you can be a parent at all, then don't. Because it's gonna make your life suck. It's gonna make the kid's life suck. Yeah. Like
I can understand. I think if you're like 7-8 months pregnant and then you're like, oh, I don't want this kid. Have the kid and just put them up for adoption at that point, because I think that's a bit late. But if you're
that late into the stage, it's like, okay, well, you got this far.
I think it's usually like 3 months. People say is like the cutoff limit for abortions or something. Maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, maybe longer than that. I don't know. Fox News will tell you that 1 million women a year are getting abortions at 8 months and 30 days.
Nah, I don't think so.
Which is not true.
Let's just say 3 months is the cutoff, whatever it is. I think if you get an abortion before that, because you're not fit to be a parent, because there's health concerns, because you didn't find out. There's a surprising amount of people that don't find out they're pregnant until months into it, which is crazy.
There are people who will get 3 months in and then find out they're pregnant. Because some women have irregular periods.
Yeah.
Because that's the big indicator is that, like, you stop having your period. For women that have irregular periods, they could go months and be like, I could be pregnant. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a multitude of reasons that before that it completely makes sense.
Yeah. There's health complications. There are times where like slowly over time, you want the baby, you plan on getting pregnant, but then they go, okay, something happened. Maybe the umbilical cord's choking it, whatever.
Yeah.
Something is happening. And they go, that baby is not going to come out, or it will kill you, or it's like they wanted it and everything. But there's no reason not to get an abortion, because it's like, okay, well, if it's going to kill the mother, or if the child's going to die and then it could affect the mother, what would you rather do? Have a kid that died anyways, and now the mother maybe can't even have another kid, or is affected in some way poorly. Mm-hmm. Like it, or you abort the kid, the mother's completely fine, the kid wouldn't have made it anyways, and you try again.
Yeah.
There's also the case of rape.
Yep.
which is the big one of like,
other things.
Incest, like there's a billion reasons. The other thing that comes with banning abortion is it's in the realm of just like gynecology and like women's health, where I've heard some stories on the internet from people in like Texas and like other really southern red states that are like, I can't even get like unrelated to having a baby, like kind of checkups, like a reproductive checkup. Like they'll have issues because the doctors don't want to be there. If they're not supported by their own state's laws, they don't want to be there. And there's just like, doctors are worried about getting sued.
Yeah.
Because if they could be like, no, I'm just doing a checkup, and they're like, no, you're giving an abortion, they could just like.
Yeah, and I feel like with that, it's a very slippery slope that if you can't get abortions, then the next step is no birth control. Then there's no condoms anymore, and that leads to STDs.
And that's the thing.
It's a big problem.
That is something that like it's a slope of like, well, not just abortion is fine. What I think Trump has ran on a lot. I know JD Vance has, because I watched the VP debate. I didn't want to watch the presidential debate because I don't want to just watch crazy.
Yeah.
But with the VP debate, Tim Walz was like, no, I think abortion should be legal everywhere. JD Vance essentially went, well, we should leave it up to the individual states. Remember the last time the U.S. Fought over something for states' rights? Bad.
Yeah.
Are we going to argue slavery is good again? Is that where we're going?
Well, that's what some people think is going to happen. Who knows?
Yeah, so it is interesting seeing the two reactions of essentially men to women, of like women are a lot more grim about it, and it makes sense because it does feel like a very personal attack on just women generally. And it like kind of baffles me that there are women that voted for him, because like, would you want to be in a room alone with Donald Trump?
I would have dinner with him.
Cameras?
I think it'd be funny.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But as a woman.
Yeah, no, as a woman, no.
Like, I mean, as a man, I wouldn't. Because
I'd have dinner with pretty much anyone. If you could revive Hitler and get me a dinner with him, why not? See what he's thinking.
I think we know what he's thinking.
Maybe not.
I think we're well aware of what he's thinking.
Maybe he was just misguided,
Maybe he was just misunderstood.
Yeah,
oh god.
A misunderstood artist.
Can we just clip this part? We barely clip our stuff, but this is the one part we're gonna clip.
Might be bad idea.
Yeah, might be a bad idea.
My final take on the abortion thing is that like,
yes,
I think I've mentioned this in the podcast before. I kind of live life in a bit of a selfish way where like, in pretty much all circumstances, I'm going to put myself first. So like, if I was in the position of a woman who's pregnant, no matter what the reason, if I feel like I'm going to be unhappy or in danger or whatever due to having a child, then you should put you first. And
that is 100% the correct answer.
And then get rid of the child.
Obviously, look, it could be a slight, like, the woman makes the choice. It is the woman's choice. It's not the state's choice. It's not the government's choice. It's not the man who had sex with the woman's choice.
Yeah. And
maybe he can have input, but it's the woman's choice.
And I know it usually comes down to the argument of like whether you consider that a life, like the embryo, whether you consider it being alive or not.
Yeah.
Whether you do or not, like, I think if it's gonna affect, if it's gonna like damage the person who's giving birth, I think it's not worth it.
Also, like, I know it's not necessarily the same, but you go, why care so much about an embryo when you don't care about kids in schools? Like, there's like no effort towards stopping school shooters outside of putting a police officer in a high school.
Yeah.
Which clearly hasn't worked.
Or like abusive parents. Like, there's so many kids that get abused around the country, and they don't seem... I feel like abusing a kid who's alive and like abusing a 5-year-old kid, beating them up, is way worse than getting an abortion, because that kid's already like developed and conscious, and you're fucking
and conscious
them up.
and can sustain themselves on their own, technically. Whereas like, if you take an embryo out, it's dying. If you take a fetus out, it's dying. You have to like put a lot of work to keep it going. Sure, a baby's not going to be able to do a whole lot for itself, but like a baby is self-sustaining.
Yeah.
technically. Obviously, you have to feed and all that shit, but like it feasibly could do that.
Yeah.
Whereas like an embryo or like a fetus, an unborn child, needs to be in the mother's womb.
Yeah, and if you want to be like a lot more like utilitarian about it, like the mother is probably somewhat of a member of society contributing to it. Mm-hmm. Like they may have a job, they may have other kids, they may be a stay-at-home wife and cook for their husband who's going to work and helping society, whatever.
Yeah. Doing whatever.
Their life in a very like mathematical way is more valuable than the life of an embryo that's doing nothing at that point.
And especially if the reason of abortion is like they know that they can't raise that child properly, either financially, maybe mental health, whatever. Maybe they just know they're gonna be a shit parent. Or they like if you don't want a kid, you're not gonna be a good parent. Or it's hard. It's difficult. If they know that, not only are they going to become less of a productive member of society, they're probably going to raise a shitty kid.
Yeah.
And then that kid becomes not a productive member of society.
Yeah.
So, like, in a scientific kind of logical way, not of a, like, survival of the fittest, but, like, I don't know, if we have more good kids rather than bad kids.
Yeah, probably. If you raise a kid in a healthy environment, they're not necessarily always going to turn out good, but there's definitely a higher percent chance they do.
And also, Dan, how does it affect your life if a random person you've never met that lives in a different state gets an abortion?
That's the thing I don't understand about a lot of people online debating. It's like, none of this affects you personally.
It doesn't affect you.
It really doesn't. I guarantee
whatsoever.
The amount of abortions that happen that no one ever mentions, like... There's probably people we both know in our personal lives that have had abortions that we just don't know about.
Yeah,
so just don't tell us.
We just don't know, and it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't make a difference. And there's plenty of people who have had to get an abortion that don't want it. Yep. Like they didn't want to do it, but they knew they had to. When you start restricting, this is restricting like healthcare is what it is. Because abortion is inherently healthcare.
It's like, I know this is probably a bit demeaning or like to the child, but it's also like saying, it's almost like saying you can't get rid of cancer because that cancer is technically life.
Yeah, kind of.
Like yes,
you could.
Yes, I know the embryo is actually a human or whatever. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if it's going to end up killing you due to birth issues or whatever, then it might as well be treated like the same as a cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta silence my phone here. I'm usually good about that. All right, there we go.
Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, it's down to the individual. I don't really care what other people do. I just think
that's the thing.
I just think restricting like if you don't want to get abortion because you think it's against your religion or beliefs,
then don't do it.
That's fine. I just don't think a government should be restricting things like that. It's not smart, because there are going to be situations where it's not smart to go through with having a kid, and if you force them to go through that, it's just a negative overall.
If there was enough people in this world that were like, I'm against riding bicycles. You can get hurt on a bicycle. I don't agree with getting a bicycle. If enough people did that and we banned riding bikes, imagine how fucking crazy that would be. Look, it's not exactly the same, but like, imagine there's enough people who are like, I'm religiously against bicycle riding. That means no one else should do it.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll find out. I saw something today, and a coworker was telling me that he was reading an article. So I'm gonna say a lot of really loose things, and I'm not saying there's any truth to it. But it was that apparently someone, I think like the feds or something, are looking into like an associate of Trump that has like a lot of like documents or some shit like that, where I think they're insinuating it might be like ballot fraud.
Ooh.
And apparently a lot of the swing states, in order to like send ballot information, use Neuralink.
What?
Which is owned by the man who has heavily endorsed Donald Trump. There are some things that point towards the idea of voter fraud. I'm not saying voter fraud necessarily happened. It'd be really cool if it did and it actually turns around, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah. Even if it did, there's like a gap of like 5 million on the popular vote, and like quite a bit in states.
It'd have to be a lot.
Yeah. I think I don't know if it's completely fair. I'm sure there's always sketchy stuff going on with like elections and presidents
sure,
and politics.
There's always some amount of inaccuracy that's going to happen.
But like in the last election with the Biden-Trump one, there was like 20 million more Democratic votes than there was this year.
Yeah.
And no one knows what the explanation for that is. It could be fraud. It could be people just not voting.
So yeah. I know people who are essentially like, I don't like either, so I'm just not voting. And it's like, look, I understand why. And they go, well, I don't want to do the lesser of two evils, but like, I don't know.
Sometimes you're gonna have to.
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
Kind of have to. I don't understand the people who are like, Donald Trump's for me. No, he's not. He's gonna help out other rich people. Like,
yep.
That's what's gonna happen. He's not gonna decrease taxes, or he's not gonna increase taxes for the rich. He's probably gonna decrease them, if anything, if he has the opportunity. I mean, like, he's not gonna fight for the working class man. Donald Trump is not a working class man, and has never been a working class man, and has never had working class man policies or ideas. He has less taxes ideas. That's not necessarily for the working class man.
Yeah.
If you get taxed at a slightly lower rate, you're not getting that much more money.
No.
And usually those taxes should, at the very least, be for the people. But instead, they'll just tax corporations less.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with the US tax system, from what I know, isn't the amount people get taxed. Because like in Sweden, you get taxed like over 40%. You're taxed way
more, like double the amount.
It's the fact that the tax money doesn't go into the right areas. Like most of it goes into military, which is stupid. Like stupid. You need some in the military, sure, but America puts like in like 10 more times than any other country or some stupid shit.
Yeah.
There's not enough into the education or health system.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. I think our Navy is like the third biggest like military in the world. Like just our Navy alone or something like that. I've seen where it's like a portion of our military is still in the top 5.
Yeah, and wasn't there like a $1 trillion like fighter jet recently, or like billion, or like
I wouldn't be surprised. Probably not trillion.
Maybe it was like 6 billion for a fighter jet in America.
The one thing I've heard rumor of or talk of is like Trump wants to pull us out of some international conflicts. There's a part of me I'm kind of, because that I never liked that for Biden, is he fucking supported Israel for so long, and it's like on one end you're supporting another country, which like it makes sense, it's diplomacy, it happens, it's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even supporting a country that a lot of America agrees with.
Yeah.
And you're spending all this money to give a bunch of non-American stuff when you can't give it back to your own country.
Yeah. That is like not knowing his like from an outsider, not knowing his like proper policies, just from like words I've heard and seen.
Yeah.
The things I do like about him is one, that he is like for the American, like I say for the American people, not necessarily like working class.
Sure.
Like he's focused,
he says he is.
He's focused on like his country and not on like external conflicts as much. And he does seem to have, I don't know if it's good relations with other countries, but it's relations in a way that like wars are stopping. And like, or like, there's not going to be a war with Russia in the next 4 years because Trump's friends with Putin.
If anything, we'll be allies with Russia, which is a whole other problem.
It's a whole other problem, but like, it's definitely a lot better than like recently with Biden, where there's fucking cold wars everywhere at the moment with the Middle East, with Russia, with Korea, China.
I mean, whether or not he started those is another thing, but yeah, he's involved. I mean, I personally wouldn't mind. I mean, look, we're at a point in time where, like, America's a huge country. They're going to have to be involved in international conflict.
Yep.
But, like, yeah, when your country's struggling and you're putting so much of your money into other countries, you kind of sit there and go, well, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, America's in, like, $35 trillion of debt, and they're still giving money to the Middle East, like, a butt ton of money. It's like, maybe, like, the homeless problem you could put some money towards or something.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe the fact that I think I saw it's like 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
If you lived in the 90s and you were a 2-income household, in order to have, like, a standard house, you needed to be making $80K total between the 2 incomes.
Damn.
Or just 1 income, if you know. Now, to equate to that exact thing nowadays, you need your total household income to be $280,000 a year. It has gone up by 3 times for the same thing. It's the same house. It's the same style of living. It's middle class. It's, nothing crazy. I mean, I guess it'd be upper middle class.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's something that was quote unquote the American dream of like, you live in a house, you have your kids.
It really is a dream
making
now.
3 times the amount. It is a dream. It's like,
you're dreaming about
look, is it possible? Is it something you can work on? Sure. It's insane.
But with to get a job that pays that much, you're most likely going to need to go to college. And to go to college, most people, if you're not rich already, you're going to have to take out massive loans.
$200,000.
Then you're going to be in debt for ages. So by the time you hit 30, maybe you've paid off your college debt if you're lucky, but then you have nothing in savings.
Yeah. Then you have nothing. And usually by 30 is when, back then, people were getting their houses for the first time.
Yeah. So it's just
and it's not to say that your first house needs to be the bougiest thing ever, but like, the place I live in, I think I looked up, is like $500K probably. It's nothing special. It's a very standard like townhouse. That's insane. But like, yeah. And yeah, I live in Colorado. It's going to be a little more expensive than other places, but
Yeah, people need to live, man.
It's brutal. And this is what happens when you let corporations do whatever they want. Because this is why the minimum wage should be so much higher. Because the idea of, if corporations can make more money and pay less taxes, they can pay their workers. They can. Doesn't mean they do. Because Dan, if I told you, I'm going to give you $10 million, are you going to spread that equally with everyone that works for you? Or are you going to keep 5 of those $1 million? You're gonna fucking keep 5.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some corporations out there. I think I saw something where there was a corporation where they all make the same amount of money, even the CEO. It's like a startup, or it's like,
yeah,
it's a successful startup. I think they all make like 80 or like 90K or something like that. And apparently, it's a super productive company, and like it sounds like everything is great. But you could just be a billionaire.
Yep.
Why? Like.
Well, one thing I was going to mention, the biggest shopping, grocery store in Australia, Woolworths, there's been massive outrage over the past few years of their prices just consistently going up and up and up. So, this is Australian dollars I'm talking, so if you're US, European, it'll be a bit lower. But, for example, this can of Monster I have right here is, 4 Australian dollars. So, 3 US or something, maybe? A bag of Doritos, I've seen them up at 8 Australian dollars.
Oh my god.
There are genuinely some if depending on what you cook, if you're cooking a big meal with a lot of ingredients, it's genuinely cheaper to order fast food or order out at restaurants here now. Woolworths,
just insane.
Last year took in 1.7 billion in profit.
Not even revenue, profit.
Their revenue was 68 billion and they took in 1.7 in profit.
God.
And then there's another one, Coles, which is the next biggest. I think they also took in around 1.7 to 2 billion in profit because their prices just keep going up and up and up. And obviously, the pay increase from workers doesn't go up anywhere near as much as that. You get maybe $1 or $2 raise every year. So it
doesn't keep up with inflation.
And Australia, and you were talking about minimum wage. Australia has the highest minimum wage in the world, and we're still struggling here. So it's a mix of that and corporation. It's mainly just corporations being greedy, really.
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
Look, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It sucks.
Yeah.
And when you vote for people who will not help that, you're just losing a battle. It's interesting to me because as I've gotten older, I found that people have a lot of differences, and it's who do you stick with? I am going to be more similar than a poor or middle class Republican. I have more in common with a rancher in Alabama who's super conservative than I do to a rich Democrat.
Yeah.
Like, we are working class people. Yeah, we've lived different lives and there are differences and we have different opinions. We are more similar people than a celebrity or an ultra rich or a trust fund or whatever. Like, even if we have the exact same political ideologies.
Yeah, the ultra rich are pretty much above politics, because even if things in their country go wrong, they can just move countries, or they can pay to get out of.
Leave.
They can pay to get out of things.
Get out of it. Anything that has a fine is just illegal for poor people, or for the middle class, for the poor.
Yeah.
Like speeding tickets that are just a fine, and I think actually a lot of times speeding tickets will start to accumulate and they'll go on your record. But like parking tickets, oftentimes are just tickets.
Yeah.
But if you're a billionaire, yeah, I'll pay $60 so I can conveniently park like an asshole. It's chum change. You make that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever. Stupid, man.
God, life sucks.
Yeah. Sorry we had to really start this off on a sad note. But, you know, that's where we're at. We were going to record this actually on Wednesday, but I have been ill with a, I don't know, cold. Yeah. Maybe I got the flu. I don't know.
Got sick right around the presidency.
I got sick. Which, well, it's funny because the weather here in Colorado also got, like, kind of depressing. Well, because it snowed, which, like, snow is fun. But, you know, it got all dark and cloudy.
Yeah.
Right around the election time, which I thought was very fitting. It made sense. A sunny day didn't feel right.
I also had a rough week last week in terms of, like, physical illness, pain. I burned myself.
Oh, where'd you burn yourself? How'd you burn yourself?
I burned myself on my thumb right here.
Oh, what'd you do?
So I was going about my day. Just finished a something, and I was making a microwave meal. It's called My Muscle Chef in Australia. Like nice chicken like burrito meal, protein, good. Nice. You know, because I'm lazy and don't like to cook.
Yeah.
Sure. Got it out of the microwave, opened it, as I always open them, and for some reason this time, the steam that came out of it was just so much hotter, and it came right up because I had my thumb placed in the corner of the thing, and I was ripping open the plastic. Steam went right up onto my thumb and just burnt the shit out of me. So put it under cold water for a bit, but then I did a dumb thing, and I didn't do it for too long, but I did put it on ice, which I then realized later you're not supposed to put ice on a burn. You're only supposed to put like cold water on it. I didn't have ice on it for too long, but I had it on it long enough that it definitely made it worse.
Oh no.
But after that, like it was definitely the worst burn I've had in my life. I had to have it in like cold water for like 6 hours before it was not super painful anymore.
That's pretty bad.
And I had like a massive blister on it, like probably the size of like a jelly bean. Like right on my thumb, massive blister. So I put a bandage around it, waited for a while, as not popping the blister because that's bad, waiting for it to go down.
Yeah.
Then I took the bandage off for a little bit, just before I went to bed, just to, like change it over. I think wash my hands, whatever. And I was shifting some clothes off my bed, and while doing that, I accidentally popped the blister.
Oh.
And it was like nearly down, and I popped it. So now I have like a massive like raw skin hole on my thumb. It's been like I've had it like this for like a week now. Still not fully better. It's not painful anymore. But
it's still healing.
It's still healing. So I've just been in an annoying spot. Like I can't really like. If I move my thumb too much, it does get sore. So like holding a controller and playing like a game with the analog stick, it gets sore after a while. Scrolling on my phone, I can't really use my right thumb for.
The ultimate first world problems.
Yeah, it's just been a fucking annoyance, really.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad burn.
No,
I work in a kitchen.
The steam burns are rough, dude.
The steam burns are rough. That's funny to me because you're like, I got a burn, and I went, oh, cool, where? Because I work in a kitchen, and me and my coworkers get burns all the time. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, I burned myself, and I'll be like, ooh, my coworker had one that was like a line, and I was like, did you get cut? He was like, no, I got burned. I was like, ooh,
damn,
it was pretty gnarly. Yeah. I got a blood blister, which as you were saying that, I looked at it at some point. I hadn't noticed. Honestly, maybe during this podcast, had either popped itself or the blood went back in, or there's just blood on me somewhere and I haven't found it yet.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a blood blister like a couple days ago.
I hate blood blisters, man. I hate them.
Dude, I really rarely get them. So I was kind of surprised when this happened.
I haven't got one in a while. The one I remember the most, though, is when I was a kid and I was adjusting the seat of my bike. And it was like kind of getting stuck and it went down really fast and like closed on my finger or hands. I got a massive blood blister on there. That shit. Oh, no.
I was pulling a lever and the lever, whoever used it last had oil on their hands. So my hand slipped and then I banged into the machine and I got a blood blister on the side of my pinky.
Fun.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Honestly, this blister on my thumb, it's not too bad now. The only annoying part is like part of like the cracked and damaged skin is over where I bend my thumb. So bending it feels like I'm ripping my skin apart.
The joints suck.
Yeah, that's what's really annoying about it. Oh, that should be good in like, what, 3 days maybe, hopefully?
Yeah, hopefully.
I fucking hope so.
Right? Dan, I have an interesting... We're going to completely change topics here. We're going to talk about sports.
Oh.
I have an interesting thought for you.
Okay.
So, the NFL in the recent, I don't know how many years, maybe 5 years, have started to attempt to have games in, like, Europe. They had one in Brazil this year for some reason. But they've started to put, like, in-season NFL games. They're not, like, exhibition matches. They're not... Because, like, you'll see that in, like, soccer a lot, where it'll be, like, the middle of the summer, nothing's going on, and, like, Liverpool plays Spurs in, like, the Philippines.
Yep.
But this is, like, in-season games. They count for stuff, they're everything, and they've been in Europe. They've started with London. This year, I think they're having, like, 3 or 4. I want to say they did London, Brazil, and they've recently had one in Munich.
Right.
I know I've seen some people that I know from high school on social media went to the game. So I think that's kind of interesting. It's like like, you know, they're trying to get people from other nations to like get into it.
Yes.
However, imagine if like the Premier League, they're like, you know what? We're going to put a game in like Mexico. We're going to try and like grow our audience. It's a little different because like it's soccer and everyone watches soccer. But imagine if you did that and you're like, so who do we bring to this game? And they're like, we're going to have it be Southampton versus Wolves. That's basically what they did this weekend.
Awesome.
Because they had the Panthers versus the Giants, who are 2 really shitty teams in the NFL right now.
Cool.
Played in Germany. Stupid.
Yeah, it's just
I
dumb.
don't get like.
I think the idea in general is
have at least
stupid.
one good team.
Like, I think the idea in general is shit. But if you are gonna do teams in a different country, let it be the good teams at least.
It also like it sucks because it's like they go there for 1 week and then turn around. Like they I mean, yeah, they get luxury and they probably have their own jet and everything. But like, imagine going from the States to Europe for a couple days and then turning around and coming back.
Yeah.
At that point, you might not get jet lag, but like yeah, like I don't know if they play at like their full capacity.
No, and also mess with training because you have to take a day out for the flight. Yeah. That's training.
So you have to take a day out for the flight on each week. It's like if Aussie rules football, which is only played in Australia. AFL. Is that correct? Sure. AFL.
Yes.
It's only played in Australia.
Yes.
Imagine if they were like, during the season, we're gonna have 2 teams play in Japan to try and spread it. Like it's, or if they like came to the States for a week and then turned around and came back.
No, it's weird. I think for those sorts of things, if you are going to do it, you do it in the off season where there's no stakes.
Yeah.
Where teams can just go and have fun and bring it. Because at the end of the day, if you want to watch a sport, like if I wanted to watch NFL and I had a passion for it, I would just watch the NFL. I don't need them to come to Australia to convince me.
Yeah.
And if you want to convince me, come in the summertime before the season started. Because that's the thing as well. Say the Panthers and Giants game in Munich happened. Someone in Germany who has never watched NFL decides to go to it, really enjoys it and wants to watch NFL. They're like watching mid-season. I feel like you'd want to start from the start of the season and follow a team along. Like, if I started supporting a baseball team, I don't want to start in like the 17th game of the season. Like, what? Why?
Oh, buddy, that's actually the beginning of the MLB season. But yes, they play like 160 games in baseball.
Okay, fair enough.
Stupid. But yes, you wouldn't want to start on game 100. You're like, oh, cool. I'm gonna get into this. How are they doing? Oh, they're not doing great, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and we know this already because they're 100 games in and they won 30 games. Sweet.
Yeah. It's like the same with anything. You want to be there from the start. That's why when a new Call of Duty or a new FIFA comes out, the best part is the start of the game, when everyone's excited, it's new, it's fresh. Like, dropping into a new Warzone season in, like, fucking May, it's like... everyone's already, like, everything's already established. It's kind of boring now. Like, the best part of most football seasons is the first couple of months, or like the very end. But it's fun at the very end for the people who've been watching the whole time and get to see how this season closes out. Yeah. If you're gonna do it, that's why the Premier League does these exhibition tours during the summer, so that you can go see the team. If you get into it, then you watch from the start of the season and enjoy it.
Yeah,
doing it mid-year,
and I'm sure
is dumb.
I'm sure the tickets for a regular season game in Munich probably not cheap. So you don't get the average person who wants to go, because you get people who are like, I don't watch football. Why am I paying $100 to go see two teams I've never heard of play a sport I don't watch?
Yep.
Whereas if it's an exhibition match and they're selling tickets for like $30, I'll go see it. Like if someone was like, oh yeah, there's a cricket game and it'll be $25. I don't follow cricket at all. Yeah, I'll go watch it. That sounds like fun. And then maybe I get into it.
Are you prepared to be there for 3 days?
If it's cheap enough, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, you can watch 2020.
No, I know.
2020 is what you want to watch for cricket. That's a one-day game. Yes. But no,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, the other thing is you're like, oh man, I just watched this game. That's great. Maybe I'm gonna follow the rest of the NFL season. Oh, unless it's an early game in the States, I'm gonna be asleep for it. Cool. Because that's the other thing, is the time zone stuff. Is like, I remember in high school when I lived in Germany, I was like, I'll watch the Super Bowl. Oh, it starts at like, gosh, I'm trying to do the math here. 4 a.m. No.
Yeah.
Or no, like 12. No, I think it started at like midnight, and then ends at 4 a.m. And it's like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, a lot of times
that's a 4 o'clock game in the States. That's like afternoon game.
Yeah, a lot of the times where people don't watch sport as well, it's just because of location and time. Yeah, like it's a lot easier to be a AFL fan, a footy fan in Australia, because it's on your time. I'm a football soccer fan. It's very difficult to do that. Like, I'm privileged because of my job. I don't have regular working hours. I can afford to stay up to 3 a.m. and wake up at 3 p.m. the next day if I want to watch a United game. But it's not, like, great. Like, it'd be way easier if I could watch it at regular time. There's a reason why some sports are bigger in some countries, obviously because they're domestic to that nation, but also because it's easier to watch.
Yeah, it's also like, if I wanted to watch an NFL game in Germany, you can't go to a bar. They're not playing it. Whatever cable you have is not playing it. Like, at this rate, I don't know. Like, I know in the States, to watch the Premier League, NBC has the rights to play Premier League. I don't know who has the rights to play the NFL in England. Like, I don't know if there is even anyone that does that. And then it's like, okay, well, you got to have... Okay, Thursday Night Football is on Amazon Prime, so we'll do that. Or, like, ESPN or whatever. Okay, so you got to have Amazon Prime. Or maybe you have to have a VPN as well, so that you can say that you're in the States, so that you have access to it. It's like, the normal person isn't going to these lengths to start watching a sport they don't already watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I barely go to the lengths to watch the sport I already watch. Like I understand from the NFL side of it, I do understand the point of trying to bring new people in to watch your sport, especially a sport like American football that is a very just America-centric. Yeah.
But at the same time, you're America-centric for a reason. It's a sport that's built in your country for the people in your country that like that type of entertainment. With American football as well, a lot of Europeans and other people don't like it because it's the type of sport it is.
Slow.
and it's very slow, very stop-starty. The amount of ads you get as well is a big issue. Like for the, I don't know if you watch like the TV version of it, but before the Panthers Giants game that was played in Munich, it's still, I'm assuming, like because it's being broadcast in the US, it would still have the same ad space and timing on the shows.
Probably, yeah.
Which means in the game in the US, in the Germany, there's a lot of stopping and starting. Whereas if you go for a football game in Germany, it's apart from halftime, it's pretty much
45 minutes of game, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of commercials, 45 minutes of game. It's perfect. It's great. I saw some statistic recently which compared the four main sports in the US, and it was like amount of time actually spent playing in from when the game starts to when a game ends. The amount of time of the game being played in football is like 9%.
American football.
American football. Was 9%. 25% was commercials. 60. The rest of the percentage, I think, was 66. Was just nothing being played.
Yeah, it was like in between plays, coaches talking to players.
In between plays, tactics. Them cutting to. Well, it's because it's a sport that's made to stop and go. There's not a lot of play.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff where you're watching them line up and you're watching them move around and all that. But like, there's not a lot of play going on. Where I think it like hockey and basketball, where like 39% of the time was actual like sport.
Yeah.
And then there's some commercial. And
I think soccer, football was like...
It's got to be the best.
I think it was 40, but that included halftime. And also included like throw-ins and free kicks, which like are technically not playing, but I think when you're watching a game, seeing a team set up for a free kick or corner, you consider them playing when they're doing that. So if you include that as playing time, it's more like 70%. It's like very high.
Yeah.
It's constant action. So like if
it's constant action, I think the one thing that American football has is when there is action, it's almost always exciting. However, it's not at all constant action. Whereas in soccer, there's a lot of action where you're like, this is boring.
Yeah.
Especially watching like Man City, where there's such a like possession-based team, where they're like, oh, we're going to try something. Oh, it didn't work. All right, let's pass it back to the defense. And they're going to pass around with each other. We're going to keep the ball. Oh, and then we're going to kick it up. Oh, no, then we're going to go back and we're going to pass around the defense. And it's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
There's still something happening the whole time.
Yeah, it's at least keeping your attention to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, I like both sports. Like, I like watching soccer. I like watching American football. However, I think it's kind of a hard one to get into. Because if you have rugby... why get into American football?
Yeah.
I think rugby's more entertaining.
And also trying to introduce American football to Germany, where it's so dominated by football, you're never going to win that battle.
It's so hard. It's a losing battle. And I get it. If you can get some fans, they'll buy merch, they'll watch your TV. See, like, it's a money thing.
Yeah.
Look, we've gotten basketball into other countries. Spain is really good at basketball.
Yeah.
There's some like Eastern European countries, Serbia is one of them, that are like good at basketball. I don't think we're getting anyone into American football.
Yeah, I'm not going to say there's no merit in trying, but I do think there are some sports that do just need to stay in their country for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, I think Australian football, AFL, Aussie rules, footy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
If it went worldwide, it is one of the most fun sports to watch in the world, period. It is constant action. It's probably, I'd say, apart from like boxers and like marathonists, decathlonists, probably some of the fittest athletes I've ever seen. Because the Australian, like the AFL field.
Same with like rugby players.
Yeah, similar. The AFL field is one of the biggest sports fields like in the game. I think it's like way bigger. Like it's like 1.5 to 2 times bigger than like a football field.
Oh wow.
And there's like, I can't remember how many players there are on each team, but it's like 20 or something on the field each time. And they use their hands, they use their feet, they jump on top of each other to get the ball. Like it's constant action. The ball's always going from side to side all around the pitch. Crazy tackles, no like padded armor or anything like there is in American football. It is a very, very intense sport. Australian football is never going to break into the mainstream. It just isn't. Same, you could say the same with something like table tennis. In China, ping pong is huge. It's their biggest sport by far. And while it's in the Olympics and stuff, it's never going to be like a mainstay sport in like Spain or England.
No.
You could say the same with like the Philippines has a really cool sport. It's like volleyball, but you kick it with you like people doing like fucking bicycle kicks in volleyball.
Sweet, it's so cool to watch.
Such a cool sport.
It's not gonna become a main sport.
Exactly. So like American football has so many views already. Do they really need more? Like they basically have the whole country around their finger.
Well, I mean, it goes back to our talks on capitalism. If you can make more money, you're going to make more money.
True.
But it's like, there's sports that are similar to American football. Like rugby, like AFL. Like there's a bunch of stuff that is kind of similar. It's, to some degree, it's like if you brought cricket over to the States. It's like, well, we already have a bat sport.
Yeah, you already have baseball, which is
incredibly popular.
Similar enough. I think that's why basketball's been so successful in Europe, because there's nothing like that close to it. Like I think like netball's a thing, but netball's, no offense, nowhere near as interesting as basketball.
No. No. And yeah, I agree, because basketball, it slightly doesn't help that it's called football. There's a billion other sports that are called football in different countries.
Yep.
Or it's called American football.
Yep.
I know it's a semantic, but it's like, yeah, the Germans are really good at American football. Like, it doesn't make sense.
No. Like, you'll find small niches of people enjoying that stuff, but the niche people already know about it and will already go out of their way to watch it. You don't really need to convince them that much.
I just don't think it'll become... The thing is like, other American sports have become popular outside of America. Baseball?
In Japan?
Dude, Japan and Korea love baseball.
Yeah.
Japan a lot. And like a lot of the like Caribbean nations are really into baseball. And like basketball, there's a big following. I'm trying to think.
In North Korea.
I was gonna say hockey, but that's not. Is baseball big in North Korea?
Basketball. Kim Jong-un loves some basketball.
Yeah, he does.
You seen the interview?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but
that's great.
Yeah. I was gonna start rattling off sports that are just not American. They're just big. I was gonna say hockey, but that's not American. Is that Canadian?
I would think so.
It feels like, which like,
well,
basically
ice hockey I think is Canadian. I don't know about regular hockey.
Well, yeah, I guess it's true. I'm gonna look this up.
Honestly, I feel like we've gotten to a point with sport where like countries sort of know what sports they're interested in. And also with social media nowadays, like you don't like you can just look at what sports you're interested in. You don't really have to
exactly.
Like these types of tours back in like the 2000s, 90s, 80s made way more sense because it's like people just wouldn't be able to see it otherwise.
Dude, if I was thinking about it. If I wanted to get into like Aussie football, I could just YouTube Aussie football and just start watching clips.
And nowadays you have streaming services that like the greatest thing about like the thing that saves me being a British football fan in Australia is that most streaming services record the games and you can just watch them back after.
Yeah.
And then you can there's a spoiler settings. Like when I log on, it doesn't tell me the score. I can just watch it back I just don't check my phone in the morning. If there's a game at 3 a.m., I'll wake up, not check my phone, go straight to my TV, watch the game. And even though it's not live, I don't get spoiled by it, which is great. You couldn't do that 20 years ago. So having teams actually come to your country to see stuff.
Either watch it live or you just don't.
But now it's like it's cool to see teams live, and like when they do those summer tours, that's when you go see them live because it's nice. Yeah. But otherwise,
that's just to help solidify a fan base. It's not to like look if you wanted to get into it, you can get into it.
Yeah.
They can sell their merch. They can get a weird niche of like, if one team keeps going to like a random country, you could maybe get a lot of people in that country to start liking that team. It's for marketing. It's for money. It's for marketing purposes. Yeah. It's if you want to get into it, we're in an age where you can just get into it. Just go on the internet and watch highlights and watch YouTube videos and stream illegally or legally, depending on what it is.
Yeah. You can honestly say that about a lot of things. And like, in today's age, like you can find interest in anything just by going on TikTok and scrolling for 30 minutes. You'll find a new thing to be interested in. It's so easy.
There are people that have taught themselves enough information to acquire a job through YouTube videos.
Yep.
get into anything. Ice hockey originated in Canada. I looked it up.
Okay. Yeah, like
That's what I thought.
Like I got into One Piece. There's tangential.
You're not Japanese.
I'm not Japanese. But I got into One Piece because
shocking everyone.
I was on TikTok and I saw a guy talking about the geography of the One Piece world, and because I love geography, I was like, damn, that looks cool. Let me watch 1,000 episodes of this anime.
Yeah.
I got into watching anime, and this is not even a fucking joke. The way I started watching anime is that I used to listen to a lot of Nightcore, still do a bit. Nightcore kind of goes hard.
That's right.
And if you've watched Nightcore before and if you don't know what it is, it's basically a high-pitched, sped-up songs. Yeah. A lot of the thumbnails on YouTube are just like anime girls or guys, whatever. So I'd see that a lot, and a lot of the time I'd see characters and I'm like, oh, they look cool. I wonder what they're from. I'd search it up. I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't do much about it. But then, like, one day I was sick, and I remember a YouTuber I watched had, like, a Crunchyroll, like, ad to give you, like, 10% off. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let me watch one of those shows that I saw those Nightcore thumbnails. And then I've been watching it for, like, 8 years now. So, like, you can get into things so easily nowadays. Marketing is obviously always going to be important, but it's nowhere near as important as it used to be.
It is so much easier to find something if you want to find something. The marketing is honestly for people who don't want to, or not don't want to find it, but aren't looking to find it. And now to some degree, if you want to find something and you Google something that's more popular, will show up first. But like, if you want to get into something, it's possible. If you have good Googling skills or good search engine skills, which honestly some people don't have. I think our generation has a much better ability than maybe an older generation because it's something they never.
Quick tangent.
Okay, yeah.
Quick tangent. I saw this yesterday. And I was baffled. I was like, am I a boomer now? I saw a TikTok of someone, like, they were in a car with their friend and they were talking about something. I can't remember what it was. But they wanted to go search up this thing to see what it looked like or what it was or whatever.
Yeah.
And they searched on TikTok, not Google. And my mind was blown.
I hate that. They
opened up their phone and went on TikTok and searched up this thing to see what it was about. I'm like, excuse me? I understand it's a search engine, so is YouTube. But if I want to go search up what happened in the election...
Is it a search engine?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, it is, but not the same as like a Google. But yeah, I guess it
YouTube's a search engine. TikTok's the same now. It's an engine where you can put in a query and it comes up with results. It's literally a search.
I guess that's true.
It's just a video based.
It's more limited in the sense of it'll only pull up stuff that is on TikTok.
Yeah, but like, they literally just went on there and searched on TikTok. I'm like, is this what people do now? They don't use Google anymore? We're moving away from Google?
That's crazy. Well, so I Googled something where I was looking up a review of some product that I was like, maybe I want to buy this because I kept seeing ads for it.
Yep.
And the first thing that came up was TikTok. And I'm like, no, I want like Yelp or like something that's like made for reviewing things.
Yep.
And fucking TikTok showed up. And I was like, you know what? I'll click on this. I don't have TikTok on my phone. So it just... It wasn't very helpful, and this is why I was like annoyed. It was like it just sent me to, instead of reviews, it just sent me to videos that had the topic or the product in it, and then the instant I clicked on a video, it goes, you need to have TikTok, and I'm like, well, this is stupid.
Yeah, well, speaking about like TikTok and recommendations, I almost feel like we've gone sort of like back to how it was in the old days. So like, in like, obviously we weren't alive, but from what I've heard and just logical reasoning. In the 50s, if you wanted to buy a product and you wanted to know if this product is good, you'd probably ask a friend or family member who had it.
Yeah.
You'd ask someone in person, like, do you recommend this product? And they'd give it to you. Yeah. In the 2000s and most of the 2010s, if you wanted to see if something was good, you'd go online and check like the reviews. How many stars does it have?
Yeah.
Now, you go on TikTok and you type in this product and a person will say, I like this thing, go buy it. We're going now back to people again.
It's the same thing as asking a person.
Which person...
I mean, it's slightly different, but like...
Yeah, it's slightly different because you can look at the comments and everything. It's still a little bit more deep, or there's still more information about it. But like, me personally, when I want to go look at a product, I don't want one person's personal opinion on it. I want like the overall rating, reviews, details about it. I'm not going to buy something because someone on TikTok said, "Yo, this thing
one
is cool,
person
bro."
is inherent. Yeah, well, one person's inherently biased. Either that's just they have their own opinion, and that's fine. Everyone is going to, or it's a sponsor, and they're getting paid by this product or the company that makes the product to sell the product. Now, whereas when you would talk to a friend back in the day or a neighbor or something like that, it was just one person's personal account, and maybe they loved it, but for whatever reason, it might not be for you because you use it in a different way or whatever. But yeah, it is interesting because like I want to hear what one person says because usually one person can be very in depth, but I also want a holistic, like, how are we rating it? How, like, if anything, I want to see like 20 reviews.
Yeah, like when it's something serious I'm buying, like I bought new running shoes recently. I think I told you this because I have flat, wide feet, and I wanted to get shoes that were like properly good for like my circumstances. So I went on like 20 different websites and like reviews and Reddit and all this different stuff to get as much info as possible. But I feel like a lot of younger people nowadays, I hate that I'm saying younger people, I'm 23, Jesus.
We're not that old.
A lot of younger people will just go on TikTok, they'll see someone's, be like, yo, this product is sick. And they'll just buy it from TikTok shop, which is the thing now.
Yeah. Or they won't even like look it up. They'll see an ad on TikTok, which is like, the ad is almost it feels like a video made by a random person in and of itself, and they go, "Oh, that looks great, I'm gonna buy it." And it's like, well, of course the ad is not necessarily misleading, but there are ads for products and the products are good. There are also ads for products and the products are not as good, and that's why you look up the review. But like they see that and then just go, "I'm buying it."
Well, like there's so many people that I know or have heard or have seen that just have like a constant stream of products always getting delivered to them because they buy so much stuff on TikTok or on Instagram. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like when I'm like,
where do you have the buddy for this?
Okay, well, that's one thing. But when I'm buying stuff, like I buy stuff probably more than the average person because I buy stuff like YouTube or like I don't have a car, so like I don't. If I'm buying something that I could get at like a Home Depot equivalent or something, it's more difficult for me to go get it and bring it back. So I use Amazon a lot more. But a lot of stuff I buy, I'll like make sure, look over it, maybe sit on it for a couple of days. But there are people I know personally as well, that will just have like a constant fucking stream of things being delivered to them all the time. I'm like, what are you buying? What do you need? I don't understand.
How much stuff do you have? Yeah, so similarly, I went to Costco, and Costco, for anyone that doesn't know, is like, it's a big warehouse, and it's like a lot of people, you can get things cheaper a lot of times. Sometimes there's not really a good rhyme or reason. It just is cheaper. Yep. I saw a Lego advent calendar that was like $33, and I saw it in Target, and it was like $40. Nice. It's just cheaper. So there's this helmet and goggle combo that in total is $100. And I'm like, that's great. Because for all skiing equipment is like super expensive. I've had the same stuff that I've had since like high school. Because it's expensive. It's also usually good quality. But it's expensive, so I don't really have the urge to buy new stuff. But I'm like, man, this is $100 for both of these things. I am kind of considering getting that because that's a really good deal. And if it's good quality, that'd be great. I kind of need new stuff. My stuff is old anyways. Like my goggles are like kind of wearing out. The helmet's kind of wearing out. Be cool to get new stuff. However, I'm going to review it. And for whatever reason, I can't find a single review of it online. Like I look up, I do like the company name and the product, and I can't find anything. I can't even find the company. The problem is it's Costco. So a lot of times, it's like Costco will have brand. Like it's their brand, but they don't name it Costco. They'll name it'll be like something else. Yeah. Because it's like they buy it through someone else and then they brand it, and it's like it's weird.
Yeah, we have a massive one of those in Australia for Kmart. Do you have Kmart in America?
Yeah. Well, no, we used to.
Oh right, yeah, it closed.
I think it went out of business.
And it came out massive in Australia.
I was like, I remember Kmart as a kid. It went out of business.
Yeah, Kmart is like huge here. It's like the cheaper Target here, pretty much.
Kmart.
But they have a
Walmart.
Well, Walmart's more like Big W. Kmart's a bit different.
I don't know what it is, but okay.
Don't worry.
Sure.
But like they have a brand called Anko, and everything they have is just Anko. It's really cheap stuff, but everywhere. And they just import it from China and put this name brands on it, and it's taken over the country.
Yeah.
But usually it's like a lot of like just like really basic shit. You can't really get reviews for it. You go on like the Kmart website, it has like 2 reviews.
You just have to trust it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you fucked up, it was cheap, so it doesn't matter.
I got 2 hoodies from Anko. They were $7 each.
Oh my god!
And I got
that's incredibly cheap.
I got like they're not the best quality, but they get the job done.
Sure, but you paid $7, so you don't expect it to be.
Or like you can get like a set of like 6 plates for like $4. Like it's sensational.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Costco has that. They'll do that with clothes. The interesting thing about Costco clothes and Costco a lot of things is I'm pretty sure what they do is they just buy from other retailers when those things are going out of stock. So they're like, okay, we were going to run this product for a certain period of time. We're now done. And then Costco goes, I will buy up the rest of it. And they sell it for a cheaper price, probably because they bought it for a cheaper price. Yep. So there's just random stuff. Like I have a bunch of shorts that I wear at work. And I got all of them from Costco, and they're all like different brands. But like one of them's like Eddie Bauer, which is a good brand. The others they're random ass brands. But like, yeah, it's weird. It's kind of weird because you're like, I can't review this right now. I just have to trust it.
Yep.
And I hate it. But when you don't spend a lot of money, and I think Costco has a really good return policy.
Yeah.
I think you can return it in like any state and they just give you your money back.
I also think, similar to how I was talking about McDonald's in the fast food episode, something like Costco has a very good like they have a good high bare minimum of quality. Like you're never really going to get stuff that is like awful there. It's just going to be like meh at like minimum.
Yeah. But you know what you're getting as well.
Yeah.
Like I know when I go to Costco, like I'm getting a good deal. I'm not necessarily getting the high-end quality, but that's not why I'm there. I don't go to McDonald's for a 5-star restaurant. I go to McDonald's because it's cheap and easy. Yeah. Well, it's not cheap anymore, but it's easy.
Like if you're spending less than $20 on something, I don't really care that much about it. I'm like, if it does what it's sort of meant to, fine, whatever.
Yeah, and if you need to, you keep the receipt and you attempt to return it.
Yeah.
But also, like at Costco, you can't really try on clothes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they don't have,
because they're just in the middle of this giant fucking warehouse.
It's just in the middle of a warehouse. And like, if it's a jacket, you could put the jacket on. And I do think they have a couple mirrors around, but it's like, you can't try those pants on.
No.
And oftentimes, like, pant sizes are just like different.
Yeah. Well, this is why I'm trying my hardest to like become that guy that just buys the same clothes over and over. Because like I just know like what fits me. So I have a
look, when you find the right thing, I do the same.
So I have like a pair of shorts that I had from H&M for like 2 years, and I really like them. They have like zipped pockets, so you can have safety and all that. And I really wanted them, but for the life of me, whenever I went into an H&M, I could never find them. About a month ago, I was on their website just looking through for some new shorts because summer in Australia is coming up, and I found them again. So I just bought like 4 pairs of those shorts. I'm just gonna keep buying them. Same with this. Like this is a tank top from Uniqlo. You can see it. I just have like 8 of these now because they just like fit well.
It's easy. It fits
I just want to become that guy because like, God, the idea of like always going to, especially for me because I'm like tall and skinny, a lot of clothes are awkward to fit for me sometimes, especially pants and shorts. So once you find something, just keep buying it, honestly. I think the saddest thing for me is when something you like doesn't come back in the next season. I'm like, no, it's gone.
There's like a specific like shorts that I got from Old Navy like years ago, and they haven't made it the same. And it's just every time I try and look for it, I'm like, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not the same thing. But yeah, for me with like jeans or like pants, I have found like a specific like sizing and type of cut at Old Navy that works for me, and I just have been getting it for the past 2 years. And just like once a year I go and I buy like 3 or 4 pairs. This year I only bought 2 because I had some from last year that like are still good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you find the like right fit and the right thing, and it's just so much easier. Because there are some things like a t-shirt where it's like you're gonna buy it and it'll fit fine, but the things where like when something fits correctly, it's so nice.
Oh, it's such a different feeling.
It's so good. It's yeah.
That's why I can't like. I would never be the type of person to like just like people that do like shopping hauls monthly, because like we knew a few people in high school, and I know some people here that like once a month at least will just go into a shopping shop and just buy stuff. I'm like, what? Why? I only buy clothes when I feel like I need to buy clothes.
Yeah.
Like for me, I guess for some people clothing is just like it's a hobby, which I think is a dumb hobby. You're just wasting money.
Or a form of expression.
A form of expression. For me, clothing, like obviously I'd like to express myself a little bit. Like I wouldn't have bought this.
Sure.
This jacket is like I have this other things.
Sure, you got a necklace on.
Bought just to be like utilitarian about it. But like for the most part, clothing is just like a necessity. Like I just buy it. I buy clothes that fit good and work
and feel good,
and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I understand it as a hobby if you make your clothes or if you like alter clothes. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. There's only. See, the thing is, I wear the same thing. I work in a kitchen. I wear shorts and a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. Like 5 days a week.
Yeah, I haven't worn jeans in like, I want to say like 6 months.
Yeah, and like obviously I like having my own style outside of work, obviously. But like, there's only so many days of the week.
Yeah.
I don't. And look, if you like clothing, that's good for you. And, you know, do whatever. But I agree. If you find something that fits well,
just go with it.
That's why that's the annoying thing about Costco is I found stuff that I liked and then I could never find it again. But again, that's not what Costco's for. Costco's for finding cheap things at random intervals of time.
Yes. Which is always nice.
Yeah. Which is always nice.
Another thing I've been into recently, which I mentioned to you briefly before the podcast started, is a little TV show that's come out recently.
Oh yeah, what is this little TV show? Is it based on one of the hit games that probably has the best gameplay and the best fan base?
Yes. League of Legends.
Oh yeah, baby.
How do we always manage to talk over each other when we leave a pause? It's crazy. Crazy ability we have. It's impressive.
One day we'll
get better.
We'll work. Yeah, one day we'll get better.
Yeah, so if you're not aware, Arcane Season 2 recently released. Released like 5 days ago at this point, I think. Arcane Season 1 came out 2021 and was one of the best received shows of that year, winning multiple awards. Crazy hype around it. And I loved it. Very, very good show. Season 2 just came out and they're releasing it in 3 parts over the course of 3 weeks. So 3 episodes were released a few days ago, 3 episodes this weekend, 3 episodes the next weekend after that. And it has left a hole in me already.
Oh man.
Like I feel empty.
That's good and bad.
It's good and bad. Like it is so fucking good. I'm empty, one, because of the content matter of the show, but also because I have to wait a week for the next episodes to come out. Like, I don't want to do anything else. The past 3 days have just been me sitting like, I want to watch Arcane. I want to watch Arcane. I've already had to stop myself from rewatching it because I don't want to like oversaturate my brain with it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to rewatch it, but I'll wait until all episodes come out, then do it. But like, I don't want to watch it. I said this to you, but I genuinely think it could go down as one of the best shows of all time if it ends well. It has animation on par, in my opinion, with the Spider-Verse movies.
Okay.
It's slightly different stylistically, but I think the animation for what they're trying to do is on par with it. I think it has one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. The storytelling is just immaculate. It's crazy to think that this peak fiction has come from fucking League of Legends. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Just like worst fan bases,
worst game,
not terribly interesting gameplay unless you're into what, click and point.
Hey, don't say that. I'm a RuneScape player.
Okay, sorry, I take it back.
It's not
bad click and point.
It's not that the gameplay is bad. It's just that the
fan base
and like
horrible.
Playing solo. It's very toxic end game as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, peak show. You haven't watched it yet.
No, I need to. It's on the list.
It's only
No, I have not seen either season.
9 episodes in season 1, 9 episodes in this season, only 40 minutes each. It's not a huge task to watch it. I would, and to all you watching, if you're still watching, I would highly recommend it. Don't let the fact that it's a League of Legends scare you away. It is set in the universe. It has some of the same character. It has some of the champions that are in the game, but
that's about it.
There's basically no correlation apart from that. Like, it could be a completely separate show. You could completely change the characters, make it a non-league thing. It would be just as good. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm just very sad this season. I don't want to spoil too much, but my favorite character is going down a path that is making me scared for their future.
That's sad. I thought you were gonna say it died, and I was like, that's a spoiler. It'd be that is sad.
That's the one thing about Arcane that I'm very intrigued in, because a lot of the main characters are champions, like playable characters from the game. I wonder if they're gonna kill them off, because like they're still in the game. There's still a lore going on in the game, so I feel like it'd be very strange for the characters in the show to be killed off, because there has been deaths in season 1 and season 2, but none of the deaths have been like the in-game champions. They've all been other characters.
I'd be curious. I mean, it also begs the question: how long are they going to do this show for?
This is the last season.
Oh, okay. So it's confirmed. There's no more.
Yeah. They might. The two showrunners said there's more stories within the League universe we'd like to portray, but this is the last season of this story for Arcane.
Okay.
Which is sad. It's sad. They were going to do 5 seasons originally. But they said, one, budget constraints. This season's costing like 150 million or some bullshit. And also, they just think they can tell the story in 2 seasons, which I respect that.
Fair enough. I respect that.
I think shows
there are a lot of shows. There's a lot of shows that go for way too long. Stranger Things.
Yeah. But like, I'm considering what I've seen in the first 3 episodes, they're gonna have to do a lot to wrap it up in the next 6, because there's a lot of new stuff that's being introduced that wasn't even like in the picture in season 1.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be very interesting to see how it goes. But I'm like, so far, it's probably my favorite show that's been released this year. There's an anime called Frieren, which I've given a 10 out of 10, but that was technically released 2023, and it just went into the year.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, out of shows released this year, it's probably my favorite. I don't see anything topping it, really. It's just
not much left of the year.
There's not, no. So. But yeah, it's probably gonna.
And I've heard nothing but good things.
It's probably gonna win even more awards than season 1. Like, just based on reviews, I think the best episode of the entire show so far is season 2, episode 3. And on IMDb, at least when I checked yesterday, it was the highest rated episode of the show. And it probably still is. Maybe people were review bombing it because of reasons I don't know. No, it's still the highest rated. So yeah, season 1, episode 3 got a 9.6, and season 2, episode 3 also got a 9.6.
Wow.
There's not a single episode in the show below an 8.5.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, season 3 so far is 9.1, 9.1, 9.6.
Wow.
It's just incredible. Like, and also, so have you seen any clips of season 1 or season 2?
A little bit.
Like, you know what the animation style looks like.
Yeah, I know what it kind of looks like. It looks really good.
Yeah, so one thing I was intrigued in going into season 2 was to see if they could really make any difference in like the animation, because season 1 was so incredible. It was like one of the best animated shows we've ever seen. I was like, can they really do much better? They have done so much better. Like, nice. all the characters and everything still look the same, but there's just one, the characters look more fluid. It almost looks like they've upped the FPS or something. Everything just looks more fluid, and then the backgrounds, shot selection, and direction is just been elevated by so much. Like, I watched season 1 the week before this came out just to get a refresher, and there was like a very distinct difference in the quality, which is impressive.
Because the quality was already quite high.
Yeah, quality was already ridiculous, and they've somehow topped that.
Wow.
It's just insane.
You know what? I don't work tomorrow, so
you might want to get on it.
Start the first season.
I'd recommend.
I might get on it.
Get on it before spoilers get really bad.
Yeah, it's true. I have been on social media less. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so
yeah, that's fair.
I don't get a whole lot of shit spoiled to me, because you don't. There's no real content on Instagram. No, that's not true.
Like, if you do want
I don't get a lot of substantial stuff on Instagram, which is what I use it for.
Yeah, but you got until like the 23rd or 24th to catch up before the final episodes come out, if you do want to.
I think it's doable.
It's definitely doable. Trust me, once you get so season 1, Again, for those of you watching, season 1, episode 1 and 2 are still very good, but they're definitely the slowest episodes in the show. Episode 3 is when things really pick up, and like I said, that's 9.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Once you watch episode 3, you're not going to want to stop for like the rest of it.
Okay.
It just gets its peak. Like, IMDb. So this is from episode 6 to episode 9 of season 1. 9.2, 9.2, 9.2, 9.6. It's just like, it's just, I can't hype up this show enough.
That's incredible.
I really can't hype it up enough. I generally think it's just a masterpiece.
Wow.
I just wanted to fucking rant about it for a second. That's all.
Dan, you've truly, you know what? You've convinced me. You've had a, how do I put this? A good campaign. If we wanted to make it all full circle.
We wanted to bring it back.
Want to bring it back. If only someone else could have done that.
I'm not going to lie, there are some themes in Season 2 Arcane that are kind of relevant to people's thoughts on the presidency.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Look, art imitates life.
Yep.
It's funny watching things that are like 20, 30 years old and where you're like, wow.
Shit's real.
This is still incredibly applicable.
Yeah.
Shit is real.
Shit's crazy real.
Crazy.
You know what else is real?
What, Dan? It didn't come to you, did it? You're gonna get there. I believe in you.
Well, I was gonna segue into a way to end the episode, but then I was like,
then you didn't have anything.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, you're still stalling. I can tell.
Yep. What's real is that we have lives and need to get on with them.
I just exit the call immediately.
I mean, I'm not wrong. I gotta edit this podcast and get it up within the next 6 hours.
I guess that's true.
I gotta edit
what's real is how much we appreciate the 5 people that are still listening.
Hey, let's go. If you're still listening,
yeah, big ups. If you're still listening,
on YouTube at least, comment down below. Yes. Make objectively bad great again.
Mobga?
Yep. Mobga.
Yeah, okay. Mobga. Just type Mobga.
Just type Mobga.
M-O-B-G-A. Just type that.
We'll know what you mean.
We'll know what you mean. The people won't. And then maybe they'll try and figure it out. Don't tell them.
No. If they ask what's Mobga, say Austin. I don't know.
Say something. Tell them they don't get it. Tell them they're not good enough.
Tell them they're not cool.
Tell them they need to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them they're not cool, yeah. Oh, with that, folks, you have an absolutely splendid day.
Yeah.
Bye.